Ask anyone what business McDonald's is in, and the answer seems obvious. They sell fast food, burgers, fries, and shakes. But when founder Ray Kroc stood in front of a group of MBA students to discuss his growing company, he corrected their assumptions. He told them, "I'm not in the hamburger business. My business is real estate." People often repeat that line as a clever piece of corporate philosophy, but Kroc was speaking literally. That statement describes the actual financial architecture of his global empire. To see how, we have to look back at the 1950s. Kroc was rapidly expanding his locations. Customers were lining up, and new franchisees were eager to open their own stores. The product was a massive hit, yet corporate was practically broke and drowning in debt. This chart shows exactly why. Under the original agreement, Kroc collected a microscopic 1.4% royalty on his franchisees' overall sales. Selling high volumes of 15-cent hamburgers generates pennies per transaction. Collecting a fraction of a percent of those pennies leaves you with almost nothing. You cannot finance an international expansion on that kind of margin. Growth was actively hurting them. Expanding a highly visible, popular product is a fatal business strategy if the underlying financial math leaks all the value out to the operators. The solution came from a financial consultant named Harry Sonnenborn. He looked at the books and realized the burgers were a distraction. The actual value was in the dirt beneath the restaurants. Sonnenborn proposed a radical pivot. Corporate needed to stop relying purely on slim food royalties. Instead, they would purchase the prime commercial land for new locations and act as a landlord. In 1956, they set up the Franchise Realty Corporation. This was a specific, dedicated vehicle built entirely to execute a massive real estate acquisition strategy. The mechanics of the new lease were simple but brilliant. To open a restaurant, a franchisee paid an initial upfront fee, plus a baseline minimum monthly rent or a percentage of their total sales, whichever number was higher. Holding the commercial lease offered an incredibly powerful secondary benefit. It gave corporate ultimate leverage. If an independent owner let their kitchen get dirty or ignored quality standards, headquarters didn't have to argue over a franchise contract. They could simply terminate the lease and evict them. Franchise operators were now commercial tenants. By structuring the business this way, McDonald's secured a guaranteed, predictable revenue stream that arrived every month, completely insulated from the daily ups and downs of fast food sales. Decades later, that single pivot has compounded into a network of over 43,000 locations worldwide. As of 2024, McDonald's owns roughly 56% of the land and 80% of the physical buildings across all locations. Tracking their value, this chart rockets to $40 billion, making up over 60% of the company's total assets. This side-by-side chart reveals exactly why they operate this way. When McDonald's runs its own food stores, the operating profit margin hovers around 15%. But the franchised operations, where they simply collect rent and royalties, operate at a staggering 84% margin. The math is straightforward. Operating a physical kitchen requires immense overhead to pay for raw ingredients, fry cooks, and electricity. Collecting a lease payment costs corporate almost nothing. Strip away the branding, and McDonald's operates as two distinct entities, a low-margin food service division that exists almost entirely to subsidize a highly lucrative commercial real estate empire. This strategy is called ownership leverage. By controlling the underlying physical asset, a business builds a defensive shield against economic volatility. The ultimate stress test for this model arrived in 2008, when global commercial property markets imploded and credit dried up. Because their rent checks were contractually locked in and their balance sheet was heavily backed by hard assets, McDonald's possessed a massive reserve of predictable cash. While competitors retreated, they went on an aggressive buying spree, acquiring prime real estate at bargain prices. The distinction here is vital. Products are designed to generate revenue. Assets are designed to create leverage. The fries, the burgers, the Happy Meals, they are essentially a highly optimized customer acquisition tool. Their primary function is to pull continuous foot traffic onto a specific parcel of land, ensuring the tenant can always pay the landlord. The most enduring companies don't limit their vision to the items moving across the counter. They look beneath the transaction and acquire the foundational systems required to compound wealth for the next century.